actually gonna play two back to back, and they're kind of like on the same page or they're on the same. Uh, let me see. Yeah, they're kind of like on the same lines of thinking, but I want you guys to see, or maybe hearing it from me, you may not understand, but maybe us hearing it over and over again, maybe us hearing it from somebody else, help you guys understand what we're like, some of the stuff we're dealing with. So, let me play. This one is a kind of funny video right here. Congratulations on paying off your house.
Thank you. I finally own my home.
I love that for you. Now pay property taxes
Wait, for what?
for owning the home.
But I already paid for the home.
Yes, that was for the structure.
And the land?
That's rented.
For who?
Us.
For how long?
Forever.
And if I stop paying?
We take the house.
But I bought it.
Correct.
And now you maintain it for us.
So this is renting. No, this is home ownership.
So what did I actually buy?
A lifetime subscription with surprise price increases.
And what do I get with that?
The privilege of not being evicted this year.
Love it. 5 stars.
All right, that's one. I'm gonna run this one right behind.
Fighting a revolution over a 2% tax on a breakfast beverage to what we pay today. And we're taxed on money when we receive it, when we spend it, when we keep it, when we invest it, and even when we die with it. It gets worse. We commute to work to make that money in a car that is taxed again to register on roads we're already taxed to build, fueled by gas that is taxed even further, and many times through tolls that tax you again. And that's to maintain bridges and highways and tunnels that already have billions of dollars, taxpayer dollars, allocated to them, and they're still falling apart. And then when you get to your office that is taxed to exist, in a corporation that is also taxed to do business, that almost certainly requires permits and other things, which are another tax, you are paid a paycheck that the corporation must match another payroll tax on top of what they have to pay you. Then you go to a home of which you are taxed to own every single year that we bought with money that the government already taxed us on.
Cuzzo, what you think about those two videos?
Man, hey, the first one was funny. I'm not gonna lie to you. I said, so what you do? You get a lifetime subscription? Yeah, pretty much, you know. But the reality is not funny when you think about it. You think about everything that we do and everything that we purchase and so to speak own. There's taxes attached to it. Even when you do pay off your home, there's still property tax that you have to pay every year, or they can come out and take your house or take the land. You know, so, understanding and figuring out how do you operate in society to where you can be successful enough, long enough when you are at the end of your life, you're able to, have a quality of life, and also, pass all that hard work that you dedicated all your life, to service to your family, to your heirs. So there's a few different things I think we have to start to look at, and we have to start to ask questions about. It can't be like the old adages of what we've seen before in terms of going back and forth with the politics, because we understand what that means. Understanding what taxes are and what taxes are for is another thing. I think that's one thing that people should know and want to know, because what we thought it was for, is no longer for, because they can print money every day. They do it, so it's not really about, taxes paving your road or taxes, keeping the lights fixed or this or that, because we see a lot of dilapidated things around here, our community and our cities. And we understand that they say, oh, well, there's no budget for that, or oh, we don't have money allocated for that. And that's not to say that they can't do it. That's just saying that's not in their plans. So you have to understand what taxes are in the plan for us. Because if you're able just to, trade time for money and get all that money, then that actually puts you farther ahead, or more ahead on the curve. But as we've had conversations before on previous shows, when we get taxed, where does that money go? They take that money and they send it to other countries. They send it to those places that we shall not speak of, because we don't want to get a strike or get our get our video taken down. So we gotta be Yeah, we gotta be careful, Wink,
Yes,
wink.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just like understanding, like when you start to read the right information, when you go to the website, you go to irs.gov and you start reading that paperwork, when you talk to people about owning their own business so they can have more write-offs and people getting mad at billionaires and business owners because they're getting write-offs. If you were to take the time to, become accountable in that own way, then you could, benefit from that as well. When people come from other countries and they come here, there's already something set up for them to win, and maintain. You'll have um the gasoline industry, you'll have, the sweets and pastry industry. We call it donuts, because we've seen it as we grown up. You'll have the 7-Elevens, you'll have the beauty industry. Like there's a lot of different industries here set up, for people to come here and to take part in so they don't have to pay taxes because they have a business or a certain amount of tax. So when they take that money, what do they do with it? They send it back home or back somewhere else. All the while we're here working and paying all the taxes because we believe in the so-called American dream, we think this is the right thing to do because this is what we've been taught growing up, you
Right.
know, or we were not taught. We were just told that this is grown folk business and you stay out of it. So we got to figure it out as we grow up. So now what I'm doing different is having these conversations, with my young adults and with people that are around me that would want to listen, to give you some type of thought process on how to look at things and how to perceive things in a certain way that you can ask a creative thought to where you just don't get dumped off to the left or the right because you're told to do this or told to do that because this is how we grew up and this is how you went to school and this is how you were indoctrinated into the system. So now you're in the system, you're going to pay these taxes because this is what you're supposed to do. This is the law. This is legal. This is the right thing to do. But then we start to see other things happening, money laundering, people taking money out of the system, people stealing money out of the system, politicians, your leaders, PPO scam this, not to go off topic, but all these things are encompassed into what we call a tax at the end of the day. It can just come down to, a bag of Doritos, a bottle of water, something simple. We're the one. So for me, I'm always looking at ways to um, pay less taxes, and I'm always looking at ways to set up, what they call legacy systems, so as you move forward and as you, pass things down, those things won't be taxed because there's another tax there that's waiting for you when you pass away. They call it probate court. And if anybody know about probate court, it's gonna be there to hold you up and hold you down so they can get as much as they can, from the person that just passed. So understanding those things and we having these conversations needs to be on the table because as it's on the table more, then you can pass this knowledge on down to your children so they know, like, hey, if you have a house and you have a property, we're gonna put it in this trust, or we're gonna put it in this vehicle, so we're gonna leave it there. So, as we pass on, you won't have to pay these capital gains taxes if you, sell a house or you borrow against it or whatever you want to do. All these different things that we never knew growing up, we know now. So if you know better, you should want to do better.
That's a fact.
Yeah. Sorry to go on that long rant. That's one of the things I'm passionate about for sure. So you already know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But
Um,
what you think, cousin? You like paying taxes.
that was too late.
You are a
You said I like hell.
yeah.
Oh man. Um, it's uh it's just a funny way, man. Those videos, that's what I'm saying. It's of showing like our reality, right? Um, we get put into a system. and that system is not really for us to thrive. It's to get as much out of us as you can. And that's crazy, just thinking about it, and hearing Cuzzo say it, like when you die, you go out paying taxes. I'm sorry, you're already out and you gotta pay taxes. That's wild. Um, and we talked about this, several times, um, about how the money is taxed on, and then when you do this, it's taxed and it's taxed again, it's taxed again. People, well, maybe people aren't. I'm tired of it, honestly. Because they're coming up with more taxes every single day, uh, to make sure they get more out of us. We make more, we do more, uh, to be successful. Some of us have two and three jobs, and guess what? They're gonna say, "I want some too." I was trying to think, in all my uncles, I don't have a blood uncle named Sam at all. But but one Uncle Sam makes sure he gets his money, and he makes sure he divvies it up to his people. And so I think it's unfortunate that uh people don't that we don't push back as a people. You're actually starting to see other states, you know, saying, okay, we're not going to charge property tax, or "Oh, we're not going to charge state tax." Like there was quite a few countries that, I'm sorry, countries, quite a few states that are going forward and you know uh, doing this in their states. Like Florida is one of the most recent one that they said they're gonna try to do away with property tax for those who buy a home and reside in Florida. That's the kind of stuff that we all should want to see. But for some reason, some people want more government, and when you have more government, they in your business, and when they in your business, they want to see what you got, and when they want to see what you have, they want some of it too. It's crazy that we go to work every day, for those who have a job, those who have a business, or whatever the case is, and that we have to give our a large amount of our earnings to somebody didn't do anything to make it. That didn't do anything to earn it. Um, and this is the other thing. You work all your life, and you hear about this that I'm gonna say a lot. You work all your life, you prepare for your life after work, you put into your 401k, you save your money up, you got a pension or whatever that is. You kind of minimize your lifestyle because you know how you kind of try to figure out how things are going to be. Your property tax is $3,000. Your house is paid off. Let me add that in there. And then they say, you know what? We're gonna raise property tax. And because you're on a budget, because you minimize your lifestyle, so you can pay the property tax that you're currently paying, now it's a struggle to hold on to your house. Now you lived in the house for 30 years, it's paid 30, 40 years, it's paid off, and you're in your 80s, your 70s, late 70s, and you can't afford to, have the house that you currently had, that you thought was yours. And that's sad to see things like that. I heard about some of that stuff that's going on in Chicago. Um, and I know it's going on other places, but it's unfortunate, man, for things like that to happen. But like, when are we as a group going to get tired of that? It's a game, man, that I'm tired of playing. Hey, my check. Hey, man, could y'all imagine? All these things on this check. When you look at your check, some of those things you don't even know what they are. And guess what? They say it's okay. You make a little more. I want a little more. Give me some more, like Busta Rhymes.